adamant about. Help me, help her, help you, and help you.
Today in my life, I'll be having a conversation with the mother of my child. Bear with me on the edits of the audio as I'm very new to this podcasting process. Thank you for listening. Hi, and welcome to Today in My Life. Today, I have a very special co-host that is going to be discussing co-parenting with me.
Hi, hello, I am Cassie. We were married for, how long? I don't know, 13 years? I don't even know at this point. I know it was at 13. But we've been divorced for almost a year now, and the experience so far that I can say, co-parenting with King, with the father of my daughter, has been, so far it's been great because we focus. I can't say that we focus on communicating, but I feel like we do a great job at communicating with each other with co-parenting.
What is your definition of what it means to be a co-parent?
So a co-parent, in my opinion, it really is two people who are parenting together who do not live together. They're not in a relationship together, but they do want to parent a child together successfully and typically in agreement with a lot of things on how the way the child is being raised, how the child is being disciplined, educated, how the child goes about in different stages of life and plans, and generally just overall parenting together and agreeing on a lot of things together, and sometimes disagreeing, because we do have disagreements.
What are factors that are most important for you as you co-parent with me?
One of the most important factors that sometimes I feel like can become an issue is losing the balance that we currently have with, because we don't have visitation. We parent our child together. There's no visitation rights. I don't even like saying it's visitation, but we share the time that we have with our daughter. My fear is that he would move to another country or to another state, and we live in a state far away from our biggest support systems, which is our family. So I feel if he were to move away, be like, dang, where's my help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
because we go back and forth, and I feel like with communicating, we go back and forth with, hey, I would like to take her this weekend, even though it's not my weekend with her. I'll be there, and and it's not a big deal. Like, I don't sweat it. On certain circumstances, if it's holidays, I may make a big fuss about it or something, just to kind of, in planning purposes. I like to know things more in advance than 15 days out. But there are some things that we do have written out in our parenting agreement. But I feel like if he were to move away, then she would lose out on seeing. It's more not of a benefit for me, but it's more of me wanting her to spend time with her father, because I grew up without my real father in my life. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's important for us to stay as close as we do together in the same state.
How has that impacted you in regards to co-parenting?
Well, here's the deal. My real father, I'm the youngest of three girls. I think him and my mom, they got divorced when I was about 2 years old. Or maybe three. And my mom remarried to my dad. That's who I call my dad. My mom's husband, who some people call stepfather, but he's my dad. Mm-hmm. He's the one who raised me. since I was about 3 or 4 years old. I remember him being in my life since I was about 4. And while sometimes I feel there is a connection with my dad, there is a disconnection biologically. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can understand that when you do know that you have a father that's out there that didn't help raise you and didn't find more of a connection. But we did have, besides my biological father, my dad and his family, my cousins and everything, my granny on that side, she, like, they were around to assist if necessary. If my grandparents weren't around, my aunties and uncles from my mother's side weren't around. So there was a backfill in that area with family and a father, but I feel like there was still some kind of disconnect with having a connection with a father, with being close and feeling comfortable enough to have conversations. So I feel like there were some conversations that weren't had, or certain things that, you know, me and my dad, we didn't connect with. Like, I feel like me and my sisters could have connected with our biological father. So I feel it's very important, if you're co-parenting out there, you have a child, people make their decisions based on what they do or whatever they have and whatever their priorities are, but your children should really be your main number one priority, in my opinion, and touching and reaching bases to them, because it's not a child's responsibility to be out there reaching out to their parent. It really isn't. It is the parent's responsibility to build that connection. And I will say this, that since I've never really talked to my real father that much over the years, he's called on birthdays, missed birthdays. His wife has sent birthday cards on the wrong day. I mean, it's a thought that counts, but I feel like it was more her helping remind him to do things. And I feel like there was a lot of, like, it's not like recent years. I think the last time I spoke to my real father was maybe about 4 years ago, that I really remember speaking to him. He did have a Facebook account at one point, and sometimes he keeps in contact with my mother, mostly touch base every once in a while, but it doesn't go further than that now, because he's older, he's in his 60s, he's retired. I have no ill feeling towards him at this point. I'm over 30 years old, and what happened, and I've written him a letter before. It's funny, because when we were moving out of our house last year, King actually found a letter that I wrote to him, and I never mailed it off, but it was one of those letters where, you know, I was in my emotions. I was probably pissed at the time too, and King was like, "You ever gonna mail this letter?" And I was like, "Nah, you can trash it." So, I mean, because I'm over it. I'm over all those emotions at this point. I was 25 years old when I wrote that letter. That was 10 years ago. So that's what I have to say about that.
Do you feel like if technology was the way that it is now, back then, that your biological father could have played more of a, influencing hand in being a co-parent for you?
We lived on the West Coast, and we lived in the Midwest and the South. So I don't think that any technology like what we have now would have helped assist the connection. It's all about him making the effort. Because when you speak in terms of technology and how it has made a difference in our co-parenting relationship, excuse me, that's how we communicate. We use a joint email account that we've had since we were married to communicate on things like who will have her what weekend, who has her during the summer, who has her what holidays, and if she has a certain event that she has to go to, we keep in communication with each other that way. And if there's something where I'm not going to be around, he knows. And if there's something where he's not going to be around, I know. And anything involved, and we keep our child, or we keep our daughter involved as well with understanding where we will be if there's something that's changing outside of the original schedule. She'll know. She sees that same calendar through Gmail on her phone. We have everything linked to what we can share. And I feel like that's the biggest thing where technology has made a huge difference, because without sharing the calendars and everything, I feel like we would be very disorganized.
Okay, all right. So you have, your other person that is a willing participant in co-parenting and everything, but there still has to be some obstacles. There still has to be some challenges. So, like, for you, what obstacles or challenges do you face?
Obstacles or challenges that I face with you, or just myself?
Um, leave it open. So with me, with yourself, in regards to being a co-parent.
I feel like if there are any obstacles or challenges that I face, I feel like it's more of a things that probably I disagree with him on. Like, we had a big discussion about finances because I gave Castle some money and how the money was going to be spent, or when they went to Niagara Falls. So that was the whole thing with the discussion on finances and trying to teach her how to be smart with spending and planning things. So I feel like that's one of the challenges. And so, he was like, "Oh, don't give her a hard time about it." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not, but she's gonna learn something from me." Because she's gonna learn how to spend money wisely and to plan for her money when she has it, when I give it to her. Now, and I give her, like, he had money for her or whatever to do, certain things, but I gave her extra to do more than what she had, and she decided to spend the money on a swimsuit, something that wasn't even planned. I'm like, "You're going swimming at a indoor pool at a hotel that's warm and nice, but you have swimsuits at home." And so it was a whole thing. I'm like, you gotta be smarter about how you spend your money. I'm like, "You had swimsuits at home, and that's something that you could have planned." And she was like, "Well, Dad told me it had a swimming pool." And I'm like, "Well, that's something I didn't know. And if you knew that there was a swimming pool at the hotel, you should have packed the swimsuit." And I'm like, "I'm not taking that. No, ma'am." So it was just a little bit more deeper thing in communication with that some things could have been told. And our daughter, she can be very adamant sometimes about doing certain things, and my biggest thing at the end of the day with him was like, "You the parent, forget what she's adamant about. Help me help her help you and help me." So it came down to that for me. It's like, you're the one in charge. You have to make the command decision at the end of the day and be more in charge. She's 12. You have to provide some guidance, and you don't always have to give her a reason why, but sometimes you just have to say, "No, you're not doing this. You knew what your mom gave you the money for, and it wasn't for this." There's some expectations that I have for him to help carry out on things that I give her money for. And so I feel like that's probably one of the challenges now, outside of dealing with King. If there's any challenges, I feel like personal challenges would be balancing my own schedule. I commute an hour to work, and making sure that I have time for her, time for myself.
Mm-hmm. That's important.
Because I'm pursuing my master's degree, balancing that as a parent, because I don't consider myself a single parent, because one, I have the other parent involved. I'm not a single parent. I may be single in the eyes of the law or whatever, but I parent with someone. I have help. While she is living in the house with me, I am doing it by myself in the house. If you're talking about parenting duties in the house on a day-to-day basis, I do that alone. But if there are some things that I need his help on, then he provides that assistance. Like he spends more time, although he's not even around with her up through the week, he spends time and focuses on her education and ensures that stays in the loop, and that she does well and she excels. I do more of the domestic part. So while he's not here, he helps out, from 15 miles away. We work well together in that aspect. But sometimes there are some challenges where people say, oh, she's going to become a teenager and all that and all these hormones. That hasn't happened for us yet. There's some hormones sometimes, but it hasn't been bad to where she's been disrespectful and what some of our our moms would say, smelling yourself. She hasn't done any of that. She hasn't gotten to that point, which I'm grateful for. She has a very mild-mannered personality, and I'm grateful for the child. God bless us, I tell you what. I have to laugh about it because it could have been worse, and I never prayed for, whether or not my child was going to be a certain way with their character. A lot of times it's the person that they're watching. It's their parents that they're watching and how the parents carry themselves. And she carries herself respectfully. She's kind to people. And as far as parenting goes, so far, I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with, seeing how she's going to be as an adult. I don't foresee her getting carried away in the wrong crowds. There's some things that I do protect her on, and I feel like he protects her on, but we also do make her aware of things at an age-appropriate level. So I feel like if there are any big obstacles outside of myself and outside of her father, it is the things that, like her friends' parents, at school, how kids are behaving in school. Those are the biggest obstacles in parenting that I feel like all parents have to deal with no matter what.
Do you foresee any concerns or issues that would arise in the event of a blended family situation?
I don't really see any concerns. I am in a relationship with someone, and we see things I feel like we agree on certain things when it comes from a parenting and blended family point of view. He's been married before. He's divorced. He has 2 sons. As far as a blended family goes, I don't see a problem. We even had the discussion where we're like, we don't like the whole thing with, if it got to the point where, we will want to have more children or something like that. We're not going to say half sister, half brother. We're not going to, really say step brother, step sister, step mom, step dad. There's better terms out there. Bonus mom, bonus dad. I'm not going to say for them to be sitting around calling their brothers and sisters bonus sister, bonus brother. No, you just bro, you just I feel like that's what it should be like, but not everybody. You have to include the children's perspective and how they feel. But guidance is the most important thing when bringing children together into the family fold. Because when you have children already before you get married to someone else, that's a huge factor. And that's why when I told myself when I was going to start dating again and get into something serious with someone, they're going to have a child because they know what it's like to parent. I feel like I couldn't be in a relationship with someone who doesn't know what it's like to already parent and have that caring attitude. Because when I was pregnant with her, he wasn't ready to be a father.
Oh, I absolutely was not.
So it's like when you look at certain things, you have to ensure that person is ready to be a parent and see how they parent as well. If you feel like they're not that great of a parent to their children, then it's like, where are you going? And you feel like you're doing good too. You feel like you're doing great as a parent and they're not doing as well, then you probably not matched. You're not on, what is that they say? You're not equally yoked in that area. So if you feel like, committing to someone and getting into a more serious and more involved relationship leading to marriage, those are some of the things, and that's another topic altogether, is marriage. Those are some of the things that you should be equally yoked on, is how you parent and how you see your family blending, or how you see the family dynamic. So that's something that you discuss before even getting further into a serious relationship.
It seems like the overall theme is communication. Communication, communication, communication. Why does that seem to be difficult for a lot of people? Because you hear of some nightmares, stories out there. So, but why do you think it's easy for us?
You know what? That's the crazy thing, because we, as parents, since our daughter has been born, we haven't had a problem with parenting. We have not been, the biggest thing with that is we have not been selfish when it comes to parenting. Now, I can see how it could have gone that route, along the different stages where, when we were having, I would say, just problems in our marriage, how it could have gone that route and just being petty and being selfish. I feel like that's the biggest thing in regards to how people fail in co-parenting, is because they're making it about themselves instead of the child.
Okay.
They're being petty, they're being selfish, and it's unfair to the child. It's a two-way street with communicating, sure. But if you're being petty, one person is being petty, that's just going to cause, it's a big war going back and forth. It's a tug of war. Who wants that? Who wants their child to see these negative conflicts? You can have positive conflicts and then agree to disagree, but who wants their child to see all that just energy, that negative energy around their parents? Because I tell you what's going to happen. The child can end up taking those characteristics, taking those behaviors, and turning out the exact same way as the parent.
What advice would you give to people that may find themselves in a situation that requires them to co-parent?
Well, it piggybacks off of what I was just talking about. Try your best to keep out of that petty and negative energy. Love yourself enough to love your child just as you love yourself. Keep the peace and able to enable yourself to communicate better with the other parents. Like that's what it is. Keeping positive energy, not being defensive, keeping negative energy out. Like you have to maintain. If you see yourself coming up to these kinds of this kind of situation where it requires you to co-parent, be involved. Provide that financial security for your child. Like you have to be there, not only financially, not only just present, and I'm not talking about just there, not just being on autopilot. You have to also be there emotionally, provide some spiritual like advice and just therapy sometimes for your child, because they don't know where that you have to lead your child somewhere. So be there in all aspects, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. Be there for your child as much as you can. Communicate with the other parent. Agree to disagree. Agree on more things than disagreeing on other things. And try to work well with each other. I'm thankful to God that we have the co-parenting relationship that we have. I'm 100% grateful. I cannot think of any better situation that I see from like what my friends have with their co-parenting partners or their lack of co-parenting partners. I'm so very grateful that I don't have to deal with a lot of situations that I see about in the hear about in the media and on Facebook when people put their business on social media and things like that. I'm 100% grateful. So stay off social media with your relationship too. We're not even social media friends, and so I think that's what helps.
Hey, thanks for listening. I do have to apologize for the rough edits at the very beginning and end of this episode. I'm new to this. I'm learning. I didn't want to let trying to learn stop me from putting out content. So here I am, being vulnerable, sharing this out to the world. If you like what you heard, please subscribe as I'll be releasing new content, new episodes covering various life topics with various people every Thursday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Time.